From a basketball view, the ripple is this. The Lakers are committing to a season-by-season truth. You ride the competitive wave with everything you have, and you respect the body and the man steering it. That probably means more deliberate rest windows, smarter usage, and an even tighter relationship between sports science and film. It also means asking other stars and role players to own more of the nightly load. Not to replace greatness, but to guard it for when it's needed most. Financially, naming the endpoint city has quiet consequences. You're less likely to mortgage tomorrow for a marginal bump today if you know the book could close sooner than later. You prioritize optionality, not just splash. And your free agency pitch to veterans becomes crystal. Come to LA, compete at the highest level, and be part of a chapter that's going to be told forever. For some guys, that's irresistible. For others, it's pressure they don't want. Either way, it sets the market straight. Emotionally, it's a bridge. Fans can brace and celebrate at the same time. The organization can start designing moments that feel authentic. A night for teammates, a night for the city, a quiet night on the road that only hoopheads notice. Basketball is a results business. It's also a people business. When you get the people part right, the results often follow because the room plays freer and harder. Now, let's address the word confirms head on. Because I know you're hearing it, and I know why it stings. No one in this building is going to announce a retirement date for LeBron James. Only he can do that. What Rob Pelinka confirmed is the ending the Lakers are committing to deliver. If this is the final stretch, it ends here. And if he chooses one more season after that, same promise. That's not just diplomacy. That's infrastructure for a legendary exit on his clock. This is where the coach's role deepens. When a franchise declares respect as policy, the head coach becomes the steward of that policy between whistles. He manages the emotional transitions without turning the locker room into a museum. He takes a group of professionals and says, honor the moment, compete like wolves, and don't let your identity be nostalgia. The best farewell seasons, if that's what this becomes, are the ones where the basketball stays the main character until the credits roll. Let's be real about the schedule grind. If this is a last ride or a last ride plus one, the staff will likely target peaks instead of constant sprint. You'll see meticulous planning around matchups, travel, and practice loads. Fans might not love every rest night, but the goal isn't the loudest January. It's the sharpest April. The smarter organizations treat energy like a budget. The Lakers just told you they'll spend it wisely to protect the ending we all want. We also have to talk about ceremony versus siege. Some farewell seasons spiral into tour mode. Gifts on the road, soft applause, checked out defenses. That's not LA. That's not how this city or this player does it. If the end is near again, his decision to competitive temperature isn't going down. It's going up. Opponents will take their hardest swings because that's respect in this league. Your job as a team is to harden around the core, not to stand back and watch. For the young guys and the role players, clarity is rocket fuel. When you know the franchise's North Star, you can calibrate your game. Cut harder. Screen smarter. Guard without fouling. Make the extra rotation. Protect leads so the fourth quarter can be curated, not salvaged. Stars determine ceilings. Everyone else determines floors. In a season like this, floors win weeks. Let's talk legacy mechanics because Laker fans care about these things. The jersey will be retired. The statue conversation won't be awkward. It will be grateful. The city will do this right. But those are future verbs. For now, the present tense demands urgency without panic, preparation without pre-mourning. When front offices speak in complete sentences about endings, they're not being morbid. They're being professional caretakers of something bigger than a box score. If you're wondering how the wider league reads this, it's simple. Respect earns cooperation. Agents, stars, and rivals all take note when a franchise treats legends right. It makes future recruiting easier. It makes trade talks cleaner. It signals that the badge in the front office earns trust, not just headlines. In a star economy, that matters more than anybody admits on the record. So, where does this lead the night tonight? With a plan that's probably both simpler and harder than you think. Simpler because the mission is obvious. Win, manage, protect, repeat. Harder because every arena he walks into could be the last time. That reality can tighten the throat of a team or galvanize it. My bet, this group will choose galvanized. Because leaders on this roster have already lived seasons where the noise tried to eat the room, and the room pushed the noise back. There's a sobering piece that nobody likes to say out loud. Greatness ends on a clock nobody fully controls. Bodies tell the truth. Film never lies. The gift in this particular chapter is that the player and the franchise agree on the one thing that keeps endings from becoming messy. The story belongs to the man who wrote it, and the franchise will bind it in leather and set it where it belongs. And because this is Los Angeles, there will be poetry if he wants it. A final home game with every camera in the world aimed at a smile that remembers. Akron and Miami and Cleveland and the gold lights of this arena. A walk to midcourt that feels like a lifetime. Teammates lined up not to say goodbye, but to say thank you. If that's this spring or the next, that's the vision the front office just put into the air in plain sight. None of this, by the way, asks you to be less demanding as a fan. Expect defense. Expect smart rotations. Expect late game execution. Expect courage. The best tributes are clean possessions and hard wins. If this is the last dance, let it be a dance that needed no choreography because the habits were already elite. So let's say it clean one more time. Because clarity is a gift, the Lakers have publicly aligned themselves with an ending that happens here. That is what Rob Pelinka confirmed. The clock, the date, the final buzzer, those belong to LeBron James. In a league that often hides from adult conversations, this was an adult moment. And it sets the tone for everything we watch from now until the day the microphone is his and only his. I want to hear from you. Do you see this the way I see it, as the franchise building the proper runway for the final landing? Or do you think we're overreading cautious words? Do you want a full throttle, no rest sprint, or a targeted, sharpened run that peaks in April? Drop your take below and tell me what one moment you most want to see before this story closes. My personal view, said with respect and honesty, I believe the organization just told us the ending they intend to deliver. LeBron's career finishing as a Laker, and they'll protect his right to choose when. That's not an official retirement announcement. It's my interpretation of careful language. And yes, it remains speculation until he says the words himself. What if the moment we've all avoided talking about just took a step closer quietly, formally, with words chosen like a final pass that lands perfectly in the corner? What if a single sentence behind the podium just changed the temperature in Los Angeles, in the locker room, and in every living room that grew up watching number 23 and 6 do impossible things in purple and gold? And if I told you there's a way to read the tea leaves that doesn't scream headlines, but hums with certainty, would you want the full story before the noise drowns it out? Here's my promise to you tonight. I'm going to walk you through exactly what was said, what wasn't said, and why the gap between those two is where the truth usually lives in the NBA. We'll connect dots, not chase clicks. We'll talk front office language, timing, legacy, cap implications, rotation planning, and the human side of an exit nobody wants to face until suddenly it's at the door. I won't drop the headline yet. I'll earn it with context, with how the Lakers operate when the stakes are personal and historic. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report. Hit subscribe, tap that bell, and drop a like so this breakdown reaches every Laker fan who needs to hear it now. While it still matters, around here we don't do panic. We do perspective with receipts of how this franchise handles iconic chapters. Let's start with the room. Front offices choose words the way coaches draw up sideline out-of-bounds plays. 3 counters built in. Nothing by accident. When an executive in Los Angeles addresses the biggest basketball name of a generation, there are only two options: deflect and buy time, or define the frame and let the world fill in the color. This time, the frame was defined. The tone was respectful, deliberate, and if you've watched this league long enough, heavy. The basketball side matters, but the human timeline matters more. A 41-year-old athlete still playing at a top-tier level is a modern miracle. It's also a physics problem. Recovery windows get longer. Back-to-backs feel different. February on the road is colder than it used to be. Every organization with a legend has to build two parallel plans, with him and after him. Usually, teams hide that second plan. The Lakers, historically, do something smarter. They honor the person and signal to the league that they'll do right by him. Even when the end comes into view. Now, look at the roster calculus through that lens. You're not just constructing a team. You're curating a runway. You ask, what pieces let him choose his spots? Which lineups reduce the miles between November and April? How do you protect his legs without turning every game into a math problem? And this is the part most people avoid. How do you prepare the city, the brand, the coach, and the young core for the day the jersey is only on the rafters and not on the floor? Media day and early season availability are where truth leaks in small, careful doses. Executives will telegraph priorities without announcing decisions. A promise to respect the player's story sounds poetic on the surface. In basketball governance, it's policy. It's the organization saying, our job is to carry the weight of logistics, ceremony, and continuity. His job is to decide when to close the book. If you've watched retirements for long enough in this league, you know the difference between a courtesy line and a clause in the plan. Think about legacy protocol in Los Angeles. When the franchise knows a chapter is approaching its last pages, they start aligning pillars, messaging, milestones, and the connective tissue to the next era. That doesn't mean flipping a switch. It means mapping nights that matter, competing hard, and letting the farewell grow organically instead of exploding into chaos. The Lakers understand theater. They also understand dignity. Those two forces just shook hands. There's also the competitive psychology. A team in the brutal West can't afford distraction, but it also can't pretend history isn't happening in real time. The staff's job is to keep practices sharp, roles clear, and film honest, while the front office shields the room from the circus. If you ever wonder why statements are crisp, brief, and heavy on respect, it's because you craft sentences that hold up under the weight of both basketball and mythology. And then there's the city. Los Angeles runs on myth, work, and memory. This fan base has learned to celebrate while grieving, to chant through nerves, to hold two truths at once, fight for every game, and prepare for the last dance when it comes. When the franchise leans into that duality, it's not defeatist. It's leadership. Here's where the line was crossed from courtesy to clarity. And this is the part you came for. Rob Pelinka has effectively confirmed the Lakers' desired endpoint for this story when the final chapter comes. They want it written here, in this jersey, in this city. Read it clean. The organization is aligning itself with a finish that ends in purple and gold. That isn't a coy dodge. It's the front office naming the destination out loud, on the record, with no hedging. For a lot of people around the league, that sounded like confirmation that the end of LeBron James' career, whenever he chooses it, is meant to be a Lakers ending. Let's parse it like adults. Did anyone write a retirement date on a whiteboard? No. Did anyone pretend this conversation can be kicked down the road forever? Also no. What Pelinka did was plant a flag. The Lakers will give him absolute authorship over the timing, and they will build the runway for the final landing to be in Los Angeles. That's not rumor mill fluff. That's a strategic public stance that shapes everything from how you manage minutes to how you handle future cap sheets. Ceremony planning and the competitive ethos of the locker room. Why does that matter right now? Because clarity changes timelines. When a franchise formalizes the finish line location, it unlocks practical steps. You can budget nights that become memory nights. You can balance short-term deals around flexibility rather than chasing a multi-year window that may not exist. You can have private conversations that start with when instead of if, and that lets the coach draw. Cleaner maps for everybody not named LeBron James. Decisions. Downstream from two-way conversion. Dates to rotation equity get easier when the biggest variable has a declared destination.